Hello, my dear students. Once again, I welcome you all in this online platform for the students of Life Sciences Botany for You. Today, we are going to see the fifth lecture in this lecture series on Angiosperm taxonomy. Today, we are going to see inflorescence and its types. Myself, Dr. PITAMBAR HUMANE, founder Botany for You, and working as Associate Professor and Head Department of Botany, Dharampeth M Deo Memorial Science College, Nagpur, Maharashtra, India. So, first of all, what is inflorescence? If we see the definition of the inflorescence, then it becomes the mode of arrangement of the flowers on the stem or axis. Means in a different plant, there is a development of different type of the flowers in various arrangements. And this way of arrangement of the flowers on the stem or the axis is nothing but the inflorescence. Here in these images, you are able to see in the first image there is a development of single flower from the axil of leaf. In the second image, we are able to see the development of flower from the base to the apex. In the third image, we are able to see there is a development of bunch of the flowers in an irregular way. In fourth image, we are able to see just like to that of the single flower, but actually it is also the inflorescence. In fifth one, here there are the fruiting bodies, but actually these fruiting bodies are again nothing but the inflorescence. In sixth image, again we are able to see the different type of the inflorescence. So on this basis, we can find the arrangement of the flowers in the different plant is different. So we have to see these different types of inflorescence in this lecture. The inflorescence basically classified into two types. First one, Racemose inflorescence, and second one, Cymose inflorescence. There is a distinct difference in between the Racemose and the Cymose on the basis of its development of the flowers on the stem or the axis. Let's see the first diagram which show the Racemose inflorescence and the second one, that is Cymose inflorescence. For the UG students, we have to remember R for the Racemose and C for the Cymose, and on that basis we will be able to identify these two different type of the inflorescence. From the R, that is Racemose, and from the same we have to consider that regular growth of the central axis. And if the central axis growth is checked or ceased, then it is known as the Cymose. If you see this diagram, we are able to see here this is a central axis, and on this central axis there is a development of the flowers from the base to the apex, and because of this here the older flowers are present at the base and the younger flowers are present at the apex. Such a type of the arrangement is known as the acropetal type of the arrangement. But if we compare this diagram with that of the another one in which the central axis is terminated into the flower, and because of this here the older flower is present at the apex or the top, and the other flowers which are developing from the lateral buds, and because of this if in the similar way, there is a development of the flowers from the lateral buds. Automatically, the younger flower will be present at the base and the older flower will be present at the apex. Means here the cymose inflorescence is reverse to that of the racemose one. So we have to remember only this one, that the regular growth of the central axis, that is racemose inflorescence, and if this growth of the central axis is checked or seized, then it is known as the cymose inflorescence. Again, this racemose inflorescence and cymose inflorescence are classified into number of types. First of all, we have to see here the different types of the racemose inflorescence, and then we will see one by one. Here, the racemose inflorescence are again classified into the two different types, that is the simple inflorescence and second one is a compound inflorescence. Again, the simple inflorescence is classified into the two types, that is the flowers which are developing on the stem or the axis are pedicellate, and in other type that the flowers which are developing on the stem or the axis are sessile. Means we can say that here these two types are completely dependent upon the presence and absence of the pedicel in the flower, that is the flower pedicellate and flower sessile. In first, that is the simple type of the inflorescence developing the pedicellate flower, are again classified into the three types, that is racemose inflorescence, then second one corymb inflorescence, and third one is umbel inflorescence. And when there is a development of the sessile flowers, they are classified into the spike, spikelet, then spadix, catkin, strobile, capitulum, and capitate or head type of the inflorescence. Likewise, there is a aggregation of many such type of the simple inflorescence. They are known as compound inflorescence. Like the branched raceme, if it is there, then it is known as the panicle. Branched corymb means the compound corymb. Branched umbel means the compound umbel. Branched spike means the compound spike. Branched spadix means the compound spadix, and the branched capitulum, then it is known as compound capitulum. Here, first of all, we have to see the simple type of the inflorescence developing the pedicellate flowers. As we have seen, there are three different types of such simple racemose inflorescence. First one, that is raceme. Here in the raceme, we are able to see here there is a presence of central axis, and on this central axis here there is a development of the flowers which are pedicellate. Means such a type of the inflorescence which is indeterminate and unbranched, developing the pedicellate flower in which the older flower are present at the base and younger flower are present at the apex. So such a type of the inflorescence is known as raceme. Means we have to say it as a racemose raceme. And the best example of the racemose raceme is Brassica campestris. Again, the many members of this family Brassicaceae bear or develop the same type of the inflorescence, that is racemose raceme. The second type, that is corymb, and in the corymb again the same type of the development of the flowers just like to that of the raceme, but here we are seeing the length of the pedicel is different in the different flowers. Those flowers which are developing at the base, developing the longer pedicel, while the flowers which are developing towards the apex are developing on shorter pedicel. And because of this, here there is a formation of flat top on the upper surface of the inflorescence. So such a type of the inflorescence in which there is a development of the flowers in a acropetal succession, that is older flower at the base and younger flower at the apex, but having the different length of the pedicel, and because of that there is a formation of flat top, that is known as corium type of the inflorescence. And the best example for the corium inflorescence is Cassia sophera of the family Caesalpinaceae. The third type of the inflorescence, that is umbel, and in umbel all the flowers which are developing from the common point and all the flowers bearing the pedicel having equal length. This is the difference in between the corium and umbel. So on this basis we can say that here, though there is a development of the flowers on the axis or the stem, here there is a development of the flowers with the equal length of the pedicel, and because of that here there is a formation of the umbel, that is umbrella like structure. So such a type of the inflorescence is known as umbel type of the inflorescence, and the best example, that is Coriandrum sativum of the family Apiaceae. In second type, that is the flowers which are sessile, they are classified into the 7 different types, in which the first one is spike. Spike is just like to that of the raceme, and only the difference is that these flowers which are developing on the central axis, they are sessile. Except this, there is no any difference in between the Racemose raceme and Racemose spike. In Racemose raceme, we have seen there is a development of the unbranched inflorescence and bearing the pedicellate flower. Here also it is a same inflorescence, that is unbranched and developing sessile flowers. And usually this type of the inflorescence is found in Polyanthes tuberosa. The second type is a spikelate. This spikelate is nothing but the development of the short spike on the central axis in the spike inflorescence. Here in this we are able to see this short spike on it. So such a type of the inflorescence in which there is a development of the short or the small spikes, it is known as spikelate. And the spikelate type of the inflorescence is found in Triticum aestivum, that is wheat plant, and the many members of the family Poaceae are responsible to develop the inflorescence in the form of spikelate. The third type is a spadix, and in the spadix here the type of inflorescence is nothing but the spikelate of the inflorescence. But in addition to that, here there is a presence of a bract that is known as spathe, and this spathe is responsible to cover, to clasp the complete inflorescence which is present inside it. So such a type of the inflorescence in which the central axis or the stem bear the unisexual flowers, that is male flowers and the female flowers, and are encircled by a bract that is known as the spathe, and such type of the inflorescence is known as spadix inflorescence. In spadix, usually there is a development of the male flowers to the upper side and the female flowers to the lower side. This is almost common in many plants of the Arides members, and it is found in Colocasia antiquorum, as well as the same type of the inflorescence is found in family Araceae. The fourth type, that is a catkin. And in catkin type of the inflorescence, here there is a development of unisexual flowers. Means on this inflorescence, either there is a development of male flowers or female flowers. And these flowers are apetalous. Means the petals are found to be absent. Second characteristics, there is a development of a small scaly bract along with this flower, and these flowers are or inflorescence are caducous. So we have to remember these three words which are responsible to define the catkin type of the inflorescence. So we can say on the central axis or the stem, when there is a development of the apetalous unisexual flowers in the axil of small scaly bract which are caducous, then that type of the inflorescence is known as catkin. And the best example of the catkin is Morus alba, that is mulberry plant. The fifth one, that is a strobile type of the inflorescence. This word comes from that strobilus. If you see this fifth image, that is, you will find here there is a development of this inflorescence, and it is just like to that of the strobilus or the strobilus of the gymnosperm or the pteridophytes, and hence the name is given, that is strobile. In this type of the inflorescence, here there is a development of the bracts, and these bracts are persistent. So such type of the inflorescence in which the many flowers or many sessile flowers are developing in the axil of foliaceous persistent bracts, then this type of the inflorescence is known as strobile type of inflorescence. And such strobile type of the inflorescence is found in Humulus lupulus. The next type, that is sixth one, and that is capitulum type of the inflorescence. In capitulum type of the inflorescence, usually the flowers are minute, and these flowers are developing from the common or the compound receptacle, or it is also known as torus. And these flowers may be classified into ray florets and disc floret. It is not necessary that there must be the presence of the ray floret and the disc floret. In many capitulum type of the inflorescence, the ray florets are found to be absent also. But here, if the sessile flowers are developing on the common or the compound receptacle, then such type of the inflorescence is known as capitulum type of inflorescence. This is the best example, that is the Helianthus anus sunflower is the best example for this type of the inflorescence. In the family Asteraceae or Compositae, this inflorescence is very common. The next, that is seventh type and the last type of Racemose, that is capitate or the head type of the inflorescence. If you see the many books, you will find the capitulum type of the inflorescence and head type of the inflorescence are given as a alternate or the synonyms. But actually there is a literal difference in between the capitulum type of the inflorescence and head type of the inflorescence. The basic difference in between these is that here we are able to see this compound receptacle or the torus, which is almost flat, either convex or the concave. Very commonly it is convex. But if this compound receptacle is almost spherical, and from this spherical compound receptacle or the torus there is a development of the flowers from all these sides, so that it becomes a spherical or the ball-like structure. So such a type of the inflorescence in which the compound receptacle is spherical and on which there is a development of many sessile flowers is known as capitate or head type of the inflorescence. Commonly, it is found in the bubble plant, that is Acacia nilotica, as well as that touch-me-not plant, that is also known as the Mimosa pudica. Also, this type of the inflorescence is found in family Asteraceae. The next type, that is compound racemes. If we see the compound racemes, it is nothing but the branched structures of the simple inflorescence. The first one, that is panicle, and it is nothing but the compound raceme. Here in this diagram we are able to see this one is a one raceme, this is a second raceme, this is third racemes, etc. So here if there is development of branched type of the raceme, then it is known as panicle. This type of inflorescence is found in Mangifera indica, that is mango plant. Second one, that is corymb type of the inflorescence, that is compound corymb, and in this we are able to see this is one corymb, this is second corymb, and this is third corymb. So here branched corymb is there, which is known as compound corymb, and the example of compound corymb is Spirea corymbosa. The third one, that is compound umbel, in which here there are the development of the many umbels from the same point or the common point, and such type of the inflorescence in which there is a development of branched umbel, then it is known as compound umbel. And the best example is the carrot plant, that is Daucus carota. The fourth one is compound spike, that we have seen the sessile flowers which are developing on the central axis, which is unbranched. So if such type of the branch structure of the sessile flower is developed, then it is known as compound spike. And the example is Amaranthus viridis, which is the vegetable. The next one is compound spadix, means here the male and the female flower which are developing on the central axis are encircled by the spathe, and if such type of the inflorescence are developing in a branched condition, then it is known as compound spadix. The fifth one, that is compound capitulum, which is very commonly found in the family Asteraceae. So for example, if this is a central axis and this central axis is responsible for the development of such type of the many branches, and from these branches on terminal end there is a development of each capitulum type of the inflorescence. So such a type of the capitulums which are developing from the same stalk or the same stem which is branched, then it is known as the compound capitulum. Or even here there is a development of spherical type of the structure in Echinatex, and here there is a development of the many capitulum, and this type of the inflorescence is known as compound capitulum. The second type, that is Cymose inflorescence, and some other types other than the Racemose and the Cymose, they are considered as a special type of the inflorescence. So in the Cymose, again there are the four major types, that is solitary, then uniparous or the monocasial cyme, then biparous or the dicasial cyme, and multiparous or the multicasial cyme. And again the uniparous is classified into the two types, that is helicoid cyme and second one is a scorpioid cyme. After completion of this cymose, we will see the spatial type of the inflorescence. So when we are talking about the solitary, means the single. So when there is development of the single flower in axil of the leaf, then it is known as solitary axillary. And if the flower develops singly on the terminal end of the branch, then it is known as solitary terminal. And both these conditions, that is solitary axillary and solitary terminal, comes under the inflorescence that is known as solitary inflorescence. In Michelia champaca, here there is a development of the single flower in the axil of the leaf, and hence it is known as the solitary type of the inflorescence. Even it is found in another plant which is very well known and the common, that is Hibiscus rosa sinensis of family Malvaceae. Then second type, that is uniparous cyme. Uni means one, bi and more than two, multi. Means on the basis of development of one flower at each time, two flowers at each time, and three flowers or more than three flowers at each time, then they are classified into uniparous cyme, biparous cyme or multiparous cyme respectively. So first of all, we have to see the uniparous cyme, which is classified into the helicoid cyme, and second one is a scorpioid cyme. In helicoid cyme, we are able to see here that this axis is responsible for the development of the flower at its terminal end, and hence the growth of the central axis is checked or seized. And from the axil, then there is a development of another flower. And the same condition is going on every time there is a development of the flowers from the lateral bud. And all these flowers which are developing from the lateral buds, they are always developing from the same side. In this figure, we are seeing that here there is a development of flowers from left side only. So if such a type of the flowers are developed on only one side of the inflorescence with the one single flower, then it is known as helicoid cyme. And the example of helicoid cyme is Hamelia patens. The second type of the uniparous cyme is scorpioid cyme, which is found in the species of Heliotropium, in which we have to say this is the left side and this is the right side, in which first of all on this central axis there is a development of this flower, so that here the terminal growth of the central axis is checked or seized. From the lateral bud there is a development of another flower to the left side, and from the lateral bud of this flower there is a development of another flower but to the right side, again to the left side and again to the right side. And in this way, here because of the development of each flower at each time, means one flower at each time and one to the left side and another flower to the right side alternately. And because of that, here we are able to see a zigzag type of the condition. So such a type of the inflorescence in which the flowers are alternatingly develops on the two different sides, because of that here the central axis becomes zigzag and becomes the take this shape of the scorpion tail, and hence it is known as scorpioid cyme. The next type, that is known as the biparous type. In uniparous, we have seen there is a development of one flower at each time. But when there is a development of the two flowers from the lateral buds at each time, then it is known as biparous sign. In this inflorescence, we are able to see this is the central axis, which is terminated by the development of this flower at its terminal end. And because of that, here there is a development of the lateral bud, and again there is a development of the two flowers on each side. So again the growth of this axis is checked. From these flowers, again there is a development of two flowers. Means every time there is a development of two flowers at each time, hence it is known as biparous type of the sign. And the example of biparous type of the sign is Aciotis acumenifolia. The fourth type, that is multiparous type of the condition, in which if there is a development of the flowers on the central axis, here the growth of the central axis is checked or ceased. But from the lateral buds, here there is a development of such type of the many flowers, means more than two flowers are developed. Again, here also there is a development of many flowers from the lateral buds, and in this way here there will the formation of the bunch or the inflorescence. And such type of the inflorescence in which more than two flowers are developed from the lateral buds on the axis, then it is known as multiparous sign. And the example of the multiparous sign is Calotropis procera. These are the plants, so that the students become aware about the different plants. Here this is an example of the solitary inflorescence in Michelia champaca. Here you are able to see there is a development of the single flower in the axil. So such type of the inflorescence is known as solitary type of the inflorescence. In second, that is uniparous type, that is helicoid cyme in Hamelia patterns. This figure indicates the Hamelia patterns, and in which here there is a development of the flowers on same side only. And such type of the inflorescence in which there is a development of the flowers on one side, then it is known as helicoid cyme. But if you see the Heliotropium, that is in this third image of the Heliotropium species, here there is a development of the flowers on two sides. So it takes the shape of the scorpion tail, and hence it is known as scorpioid cyme. In biparous, there is a development of the flowers, that is two flowers at each time. It can be very well observed in the Aciotis acumenifolia, which is given in this fourth figure. We are able to see here there is a development of the flowers, and from the axil again there is a development of the two flowers. So every time here the inflorescence is bifurcated, or there is a development of two flowers from the lateral buds which are present on the stalk of the flower. The fourth one, that is multiparous cyme, and this fifth image is of the Calotropis procera, in which we are able to see here there is a development of the many flowers from the lateral buds, that is more than two flowers, and hence it is known as multiparous cyme type of the inflorescence. The spatial type of the inflorescence falls in the four different categories. That is, first one, Verticellaster inflorescence. This Verticellaster inflorescence is nothing but the aggregation of the racemose as well as Cymose inflorescence. If you see the inflorescence of Ocimum sanctum, then you will find that there is a continuous growth of the central axis. But there is a development of the flowers on the nodal regions, and on the nodal region there is a development of flowers in this manner. This is the central axis. From this central axis, first of all, there is a development of two flowers from the nodal region, and hence here the Verticellaster inflorescence contain or bear the dicaseal type of the sign from each node. Again, from it there is a development of the two flowers on both the sides, and in this way there is a development of the many flowers from each node, and such type of the inflorescence in which the flowers which are developing from the nodal region of the axis in a dicaseal sign, that is known as Verticellaster inflorescence. The second type, that is Cyathium type of the inflorescence, which is commonly found in the Euphorbia species of the family Euphorbiaceae. In this, there is a presence of a cup-like involucre, and inside this cup-like involucre there is development of the single female flower in the center, and the many naked male flowers around the central female flower, as well as there is presence of glands at the base of the flowers. So such type of the cup-shaped involucred inflorescence in which there is a development of the single female flower and many male flowers around the female flower, having the glands at the base of these flowers, that is known as Cyathium type of the inflorescence. In Hypanthodium, which is the best example found in ficus of the family Moraceae, in which there is a development of the fruit-like structure, which is nothing but the receptacle. So this receptacle is responsible for the formation of the hollow ball-like structure, and in which there is a development of the female flowers at the base and male flowers at the apex, and a small opening is present at the terminal end, that is known as ostiole. So such a type of the inflorescence in which the receptacle is concave, forming the hollow ball-like structure and developing the male and female flowers having one opening, or that is known as the ostiole, is known as Hypanthodium type of the inflorescence. The fourth one, that is Coenanthium type of the inflorescence. Here this is just like to that of the Capitulum type of the inflorescence, in which this compound receptacle or the torus is saucer shaped, and on this saucer shaped there is a development of the male and female flowers. So such a type of the inflorescence in which its compound torus or the receptacle is saucer shaped and is responsible for the development of male and the female flowers both on it, then it is known as Coenanthium type of the inflorescence. And the best example of the Coenanthium type of the inflorescence is Dorstenia cordifolia, which is again the member of family Moraceae. So whenever you are going to see the different type of the inflorescence. Here there are again many types. So this is an example of the Verticellaster inflorescence in the first diagram or the image, that is Ocimum sanctum. The second one, that is Euphorbia geniculata in the second image. Then Hypanthodium type of the inflorescence, that we are able to see they are the fruiting like bodies, but these are actually the inflorescence inside which there are the presence of the many male and the female flowers. And fourth one, that is the Coenanthium, that is the Dorstenia foetida. So on which here there is a presence of the saucer shaped type of the disc, and on that disc there is a development of the male and the female flowers. So these different type of the inflorescence are very much useful for the UG and the PG students, as well as anyone who is interested in the angiosperm taxonomy. Whenever we are going to describe any plant, first of all we have to see the type of the inflorescence. So I am very much confident that this lecture will cover the complete different types of the inflorescence, in which some types I have tried to given as a new type, as well as try to differentiate some the inflorescence which are usually considered as a similar type. So thank you very much you all for your patiently listening of this 5th lecture in this lecture series on angiosperm taxonomy. Kindly like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel, and also press bell icon for the alerts of every lecture to be uploaded on life science titles on this YouTube channel Botany for You. Thank you very much.